Hi, welcome to the Israel First television program from our studios in Jerusalem. Great to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us today with the program that looks at Israel. We look at the news and we look behind the news and we look at how it affects you, our viewers across the world. And today's program is dedicated in the memory of our very good friend and supporter Alan Danson from Nottingham, who recently passed away. So the program is for Alan and for his wife Maggie as well, and we think of them in Nottingham. So God bless you both.
Special people.
Now, one of the things is that in the land of Israel, we are the first to have many of the things that are happening across the world. And many of you are aware of phrases such as the Great Reset. Many of you are aware of what's transhumanism, AI, and all this kind of thing. And we are really in Israel at the forefront of this. Israel is pushing, in the news, Israel is pushing the globalist agenda, which is what it is. It isn't just for Israel, it is across the world, of artificial intelligence. Ben Gurion Airport is set to become fully digital by 2023. That's just next year. The digital check-in will be done via terminals in the departure hall to be extended to luggage and security checks, despite the major problem that it lacks a human touch and sensitivity when dealing with people who could be stressed when traveling. You're just dealing with a machine in front of you. Israel announced that next year, that is 2023, it's making procedures for departures at Ben Gurion digital, following the dark and dangerous globalist agenda of replacing humans with AI. This is what it is. It isn't just, we're not talking about technology to improve things. We're talking about technology to replace things. We're talking about technology to replace humans. Online check-in will be expanded to include luggage. By the way, there's already online check-in if you come via Ben Gurion, the luggage will be taken directly to the aircraft, apparently with no need to submit to a security check. According to a statement issued by the Israel Airport Authority's CEO, Haggai Topolansky, has allocated over 50 million shekels, that's $15 million, towards the digital transformation of Ben Gurion Airport. Cold and impersonal service terminal stations will be placed in the departure hall. The stations will have a scale to weigh the luggage, pay for extra weight, and issue suitcase bags to allow passengers to drop off their bags in a dedicated area and ready for the flight, which is going to make obsolete the human element, which is the people who man the check-in areas. Over 50% of airline passengers chose online check-in, according to the Israel Airport Authority, if that's an excuse to replace humans. With more touch and play terminals, overseas travellers will be subjected to a security check only after they've completed check-in online, said the statement. There was no mention, by the way, of what happens to elderly people, disabled people, or people who have difficulty communicating. AI computers are simply not able to provide the human interaction which is so important to people in need of help at an airport.
Human touch.
Right. And AI adoption at Ben Gurion involves huge amount of data collection, by the way, surveillance, cameras, sensors, and much more. The data, such as video and images, could be manipulated by hackers for various cyber crimes. Israel Freedom campaigners are very concerned as to what happens to all the data that Ben Gurion Airport will collect in 2023 and who it's shared with. What we're witnessing, folks, in reality at Ben Gurion Airport is the dehumanization and cold care of AI and computers. How can a computer make your travel stress-free? Just because tech replaces human workers doesn't mean that that's what we always want. In some instances, even when tech can do an adequate job, we still want to deal with a person, especially when you're traveling and you're late for the flight or want to make sure all your luggage is there. Whilst a machine can perform a given task often more efficiently than we can, what it lacks is artistry, the human ability to cater to the needs of an individual. Protocol may suggest one approach, but a person who is good at their job understands when to adjust. In other words, every situation is different which you face, and that's why it's so important to have humans involved. Airlines cannot replace all their customer services with AI. People want to have personal interaction. There is no mention, by the way, in their press release of this digitalization of Ben Gurion Airport with the unemployment. In other words, what are they going to do with all the staff on the check-in desks? What we're really experiencing, Nathalie, here in Israel is the relentless push by global elites to replace humans with AI computers, and it's all part, as I said at the beginning, of the global reset. In other words, resetting the world using various pretexts with AI and computers and other things that we'll be talking about in the program. And this goes...
And they are going by stages.
Right, and this
because
is...
they're making us... They know that the human has to be like slowly moving into something different, and we won't take it if it was like straight away. So if you look all in the society, and it's across the world now, they are changing this and changing that, and more we don't have freedom. We have camera everywhere who are recording us and listening to us too. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And
this is very important because if it could be used in a very detrimental manner to you with surveillance society. If you're just dealing with a computer when you go to an airport, there's all sorts of privacy concerns and surveillance society concerns with this kind of technology.
And not only that, because they're using all these things, they're keeping the data. So they're going to have a lot of data of people from all around the world. So not only Israelis, I mean, it's like, because if we look far away, and maybe I can start to speak about that, because like we were listening to a video of Harari, Yuval Harari, I'm sure you heard already about him. We spoke about him a few times. He's called the prophet from the World Economic Forum and from Schwab. And he is speaking, and I was listening to this tape. It's terrible to listen to it, but he's like, you need to know where they are going at. And this is what he's saying. Immortality is in the Silicon Valley now. We're not speaking about equality anymore, we're speaking about immortality. And Google, they started a group which is Calico, and they are trying to solve death, okay? We do not need to wait for the second coming of Yeshua, is what he said. It's just unbelievable. So he said there is 3 ways. And when I was speaking about the evolution, this is what we're going. 3 ways is that, first of all, there is biological engineering. So it's like trying to make going the natural selection, as he's saying, quicker. Okay, so it's like playing with the genetic, our genetic inheritance, and we can play with that. So it's biological. The second step is cyber engineering. So you use some biological and you put organic and inorganic parts. So it's like you start like with the vaccine, they've put some graphene, which is making like parts of computer things. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it's like people can be linked to some computers, and they can know how you feel, your temperature, different things. And then this last step is a completely inorganic life form, which is, so the person who was interviewing him was saying, well, will we be human if it's like that? And he said, well, we won't be the same form now. No, we won't be human anymore, because humanity is with the DNA of God and our freedom of acting right or wrong, but we have the freedom of choice. This is the two things given by God. Our DNA, which is who I made in the image of Him, and then our freedom of choice. And if you are a computer or inorganic system form, you can't choose anymore. So you are not a human anymore. It's the two basic things that God gave us. This is so frightening in one way, and it can't go like that. And it's what he was saying, we don't need to wait the second coming of Christ. But Yeshua said to us, wait for my coming eagerly. So he's totally against what God is saying. It's very, very sobering to know all these things, and this is where we're going. So what was happening with the virus was the first step, because they wanted to implant something in many, many people. And it's because of that some people don't want it.
And it's very interesting that the World Economic Forum, WEF, which is featured so much in these days, sounds so innocuous. In other words, it doesn't sound like it's harmful or anything. It's a World Economic Forum, but it's a one world government. That's what it is. And that's the direction we're all going in with all this technology. I mean, it's important to see where we're going, so you'll know from Israel how it's going to affect the world. And the technology, the digitalization of Ben Gurion Airport isn't to improve the airport as alleged by the press releases given out by the airport. The digitalization of the airport is to bring in this surveillance, this technological control, the control of the world. Now,
which means that it's fighting again with freedom of choice.
Now, one of the other issues is that it's not just happening at Ben Gurion Airport. In the news, the world's largest emergency room, ER, intensive care, if you're in the UK, opened at Ikilo Hospital in Tel Aviv. With AI check-in, talking about artificial intelligence, and robot escorts. 8,000 meters, it's the size of it. Patients who arrive at the ER and who are well enough will check themselves in with an AI desk without the presence of humans, and then move on after nobody's there, you just have a machine, to self-triage. Where automated machines will check your temperature, blood pressure, pulse, blood oxygen saturation. Results will then go straight into the hospital computer system. Automated robots will help patients find the department they need, and a mobile phone app will tell them exactly what is happening with their tests, results and treatment. Professor Ronnie Gamzu, CEO of Tel Aviv Sourasky Medical Center, laughably said that the new facility heralds a medical and technological revolution. Yes, it does, but not in a good way. Missing the fact that all the patients will now have in ER is talking machines when dealing with an urgent crisis. When you go to ER, the thing you need is a person to speak to, not a machine. One expert warns that robots designed as replacement nurses or carers may make the people who they are looking after feel like objects, obviously, and that they have less control over their lives than when they are dependent on human nursing care. So this is just another example of the AI and the surveillance of society that's taking place in Israel. And the program is called Israel First because we are having the things first here, and that's why we're telling you, so that you will know wherever you live in the world.
Because it's the center of the world. God has made it the center of the world. And Satan and all his hordes, he knows that. He knows that all the blessing comes from here, all around the world. It's how God has made it. And like all the things also that we were speaking about the PCR, a lot of people, and funny enough, I received something this week of a man who is working in genetic, and he was asking me, are you working as journalism? I want to speak to you about it. A lot of things that they are doing genetically speaking about how your ancestors and all these kind of things, they are manipulating what they are saying, which is very interesting because, again, like the PCR, all of what they are doing, because we need to look behind the scene what they are doing. Everything is based on sheker. Sheker is falsehood, is lies, okay? It's not truth. And so they are building the little world and trying to hide what they are doing to so many people. I was going to Jerusalem this week and I was looking at the people, and I know like 98% of the people, they don't know what's happening, and they are following what they are saying and they don't really understand. And we need to know, we need to be aware of what's happening. It's so important. And so when they do the PCR, you need to know they are harvesting the DNA of people. Because the thing of what Harari was saying, going back to him, unfortunately, is like they can't do all their inorganic things if they don't have the data of many people, which is our DNA. So they can't do anything if they don't have, because they can't create life. It's only God who creates, which is amazing, because like a man and a woman are creating a human being. This is the power that God has given us. If you start to think about that, this is just amazing. We are procreators with God, but all of it comes from God. And what they are doing is that we don't want God. And I heard him also saying in something else, we'll do better than God.
Yeah. If you are concerned about all the things that are happening, please go to our website where we have a daily news story. Just go on the media button and you'll see Israel News, and you'll be able to get a daily news story from Israel, telling you. Many people are not telling you these stories because people don't want to know about it, or they're censored. And so we are telling you the stories as they're coming into Israel, so you will be aware of what's going on. Now, have you got some things to share with us, Nathalie?
Yes, I have. Now, in the midst of all of that, what is important is, again, the Torah. We always come back to that, the teaching of God, the Word, His Word. And I wanted, again, to advertise, my book that I wrote about the Hebrew language is really for beginners. And no, not only for beginners, because I remember a friend who is Jewish, she said, wow, I have learned a few things in your book. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Anyway, and you can find it on our website. It's in English and in French and in German. And it's about the block of creation, because the alphabet, the letters, the Hebrew letters, God used them to create the world, okay? And the world stands because also of the Hebrew language, because of His Word. It's just amazing. And then when you carry on and learning, I tell you, the Hebrew language is just so amazing. So like for this week, I was reading Parashat Re'eh, last week, and it was, so it's in Deuteronomy, and I want to give you two examples.
This is the daily reading, weekly reading from the synagogue.
That's it. And it's the first 5 books of Moses, of the Bible, and there is so many things in it. And it was, again, there is also not symbolism. There is a code even in it, a Bible code. And you can count also with the numbers. You can find so many things when you dive in it and research. It's just amazing. Okay, so I wanted to tell you about this. And this is what is written in Deuteronomy 12:5. Okay, it's written, you shall seek out His presence and come here. And here was the place of the temple. Now, very interesting, if you look in Hebrew, you shall seek out His presence. This is plural. And then, and come here is singular. Why? Because He said, okay, I want you to be in my presence as a people, but I want every one of you to come to be with me. It's all about relationship. You see, compared to the other thing, the system that they want to do, there is no relationship, it's all cold and all of that. No, God, our Creator, wants us to be connected with Him. He said, there is a place where I want you to come, and there I want you personally. I want to meet you personally, not to other people. I want to face with you. This is one of the things, okay? And another one, just few, in Deuteronomy 14, is written, you are children to Adonai your God. And when I was written that, now I read it in Hebrew, is Banim Atem le Adonai Elohechem. And when you read it in Hebrew, it's like so simple and so strong. It's like, you are my children. Again, it's relationship. It's a family, okay? And I'm your God, I'm your Father. And one more things that I was looking also is like, God was reminding me, there is a beautiful prayer in Hebrew, and they say that God, they give all the quality of God. It's just amazing. He's King, eternal, and all of that. And one other thing is Tov Umetiv. Tov means good, and Umetiv is the same root, but it's like benevolent. So Tov is like who He is, and Umetiv is how He is with us. God is good, because sometimes we know the saying God is good all the time, God is good. No, it's not just that. He's good and He's benevolent. So how He's acting, He's always acting the right way to do the best for us. Now, He asks us also to be kadosh, to be holy like He is holy, which means that we can be tov and umetiv. We can be good and benevolent to each other, to ourselves first of all, and to others. And this is, again, all this Torah, all the word is written for us to be in relationship with God. And in His word, there is so many keys, so many treasures to know Him, to really enjoy knowing Him. And again, He was saying, bring your tithe, and there you will rejoice, you will eat together, and you will rejoice. This is one of the things that is all about relationship, is all about together. Very different than what the word of Harari and the WEF.
Yeah, and one of the issues that we're facing in Israel is that we have all these different things happening, and yet this is the Holy Land. It's the conflict, it's a war on a spiritual level, very high war that's going on. Now, coming to another news story, which is something some of you may well be aware of. Israel is installing smart lights. Everything is smart. I don't know if you've noticed that. And smart is a nice way of saying surveillance or control or connected. Everything is connected to the internet or to computers or your fridge or your vacuum cleaner or your television is all smart in inverted commas. It's all connected. Now, one of the things that's been done in Israel is the installation since even before the end of the pandemic. Israel started installing smart lights, the new lighting system, but a lot of freedom campaigners in Israel are concerned about surveillance, privacy rights, etc. Potentially these lights have, this is quite unbelievable, but potentially they have vehicle license recognition, sound recorders, monitors of movement of citizens and road vehicles. They are also potentially going to be used for 5G, which many people are very concerned about for health reasons, such as the Stop 5G Israel organization and other health campaigners across the nation are very concerned about the impact of 5G on citizens in Israel. Whilst previous Wi-Fi connections such as 4G have been optional in one's homes, in other words, you can choose to have it or not choose to have it, If it's on the street lights fitted to them, which seems incredible, but this is the reports that are coming out. If they have 5G transmitters, then you have no control over the fact that 5G is operational in your area. You have no choice over whether you have the signal running all the time. The electromagnetic signal blasted into your house from the street. There's also a very great concern, and I mentioned before about the smart traffic lights as well, which they're installing in Jerusalem. But the smart street lights can have sensors, detectors, detection technology, radar, cameras, information collection. They can have facial recognition. They can have everything. We don't really know unless we disassemble them and are technical. And even then you might not know what they are doing, but they can potentially track citizens and the route of your vehicle. One Israeli company has said that the new smart street lights have their own IP address. And for those of you who are technical, you'll know that's your computer has an IP address, internet protocol it's called, and that means that it can communicate with the internet. So each street light can have its own IP address. They can operate as a Wi-Fi network, working with the other street lights as a complete network. Now, what's interesting is it's not just in Israel that smart lights or smart street lights are being fitted, but they're being fitted in the United States as well. Hugh Martin, who's the chief executive of the company Sensity, which installed smart lighting at Newark Airport, said, "We felt what you'd want to use this network for." This is what he said, a network. He didn't say that, it's street lights connected with electrical cable. He said it's a network to gather, this is exact words what he said from him, to gather information about people and the planet.
Data.
So they are just gathering information, and it takes Big Brother Nathalie to another level.
Yes, totally.
So I don't know if you have another quick thing to share before we finish the program.
No, I was thinking about something that is good.
Yeah, just one quick story as we finish the program. A lot of people are saying, well, things are back to normal, or things are better than they were, or whatever. But unfortunately, they're not. One Israeli doctor recently lost his medical license permanently because of his brave stand against all that's been happening. He took a stand against it and said that what was happening was not right. Now, people should be free to say what's happening is right or what's happening is wrong. This is basic freedom of speech.
Exactly, is what I wanted to tell you. I remember now what I wanted to say, which is very important, is like they are putting a number, I can't remember now, but many people to look at what's happening on the internet and take away the people who are speaking about freedom, about what you are saying, and they are clearing up a lot of things. They are taking them away, which is not freedom, again, as you are saying. So if you want also to know more things, go on our website, because it's very important. Right now we have the right and the freedom to say what we want to say, and I know that it's difficult to find some information. We have also a group in Signal. Just send us an email and we can put you on the Signal group, and you have much more information, because you need to be informed to what's happening, because they are it's like taking the real information. And again, the media is gone, totally gone. I mean, all these things, we spoke about it a long time ago, but now it's like at a level just unbelievable.
And if you'd like to help us continue the program, and as long as we can, then please do get in touch with us. You can support us at the donate button, which is on the website. You can also email us. I've been speaking about on previous programs the days of Noah. These are the days of Noah, and the Great Reset is part of that. It's like evil on a level we've never experienced before. And as I say, we have a daily news program. Natalie's mentioned that. You can get hold of that. And do get in touch with us. Let us know what's happening in your area. And as I said, you can support us. We depend on your financial support for the program. Well, it's been great to be with you. We appreciate your company and look forward to seeing you again soon. And don't forget, we're the program that looks at the land, the people, and the language.